So, who is an enemy of the state? Why am I asking? Well, there's been a really interesting case this week. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation about it, because it's got some interesting legal aspects to it, but also some interesting political ones. So what am I talking about? You may recall that two guys were prosecuted under the Official Secrets Act, Section 1, effectively for espionage, for spying for China. But the case has now been dropped. The prosecution have offered no evidence, and the reason why is very interesting. But first of all, what does Section 1 say? Now, just to let you know, they're actually prosecuted under an earlier version of Section 1. It actually has been changed now, but it's more or less the same. But basically, it covers assisting, quotes, an enemy. It's, whether you do anything, provide information, materially assist them. And it just literally says if you basically provide assistance or some sort of material benefit to an enemy, you are guilty of the offence. But what's the definition of enemy? Now, it used to be that it actually had to be somebody you were at war with. I mean, this all ties back a little bit to the sort of Treason Act thing, that you have to assist an enemy of the state, and also you have to owe allegiance to the crown. Now, with the Official Secrets Act, actually, anybody can commit that. So you don't have to owe allegiance to the crown. It can cover everybody. So, if you've got spies here, foreign nationals obviously don't owe any allegiance to the crown, but they can still be done for breaching the Official Secrets Act. But in this case, it's two guys from the UK, and they supposedly provided some, sensitive material to China. But the issue is, who is an enemy? Because it's not like we're at war with China or anything like that. But while all this was going on, there was another case where they were prosecuting 6 Bulgarians under the Official Secrets Act, and that was for providing assistance to Russia. And the same question came up. Now, as it happens, there was like press restrictions in place, so you couldn't report on that case. But obviously the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, knew what was going on and what the judge was saying. And just to say the reasons for not, because we now know about this, it wasn't being held in secret for any national security issues. It was the good old-fashioned, we didn't want to prejudice some other trials against people. So it was, we're prosecuting people in batches, and we don't want to sort of say, well, actually, these guys have all been convicted, so therefore, they're all part of the same gang, so you must do those. But in that case, again, they said, well, is Russia an enemy? And the court sort of broadened. They said, well, look, you just use the everyday common sense English meaning, like the dictionary meaning, or what, if you were to ask somebody in the street and say, are Russia our enemy? They might say, well, bear in mind they've threatened to nuke us at various stages, and we are involved in a bit of a proxy war with them through Ukraine. Then, yeah, clearly they are the enemy. So arguably, that case actually broadened the statute, made it easier to prosecute by broadening the definition of enemy. So you might think, well, that would have assisted in prosecuting the Chinese case. But what the Crown said is, yeah, it's no problem. Now, whether or not somebody is an enemy, because we're saying it's just the everyday meaning of the word, and it's just a matter of fact as to whether somebody's an enemy. We're not going to sort of say the law defines who the enemy is. It's just a matter of fact. This is, your classic jury question. So you say to the jury, here's all the evidence about this other country. Would you regard them as an enemy? But that involves putting evidence in. So what the court said is, well, that's fine. You just get a witness statement prosecution from maybe somebody from the government, maybe from the Foreign Office or the intelligence services, or there are plenty of academics you could have gone to. You could have called expert witnesses if you wanted to say China is an enemy. But of course, this throws all sorts of political implications up, because, and in the end, to cut to the chase, no spoilers, the prosecution have took the view, apparently they went back to the government and said, right, we need some evidence from you that China's the enemy. And they said, well, hang on, we're trying to make friends with these people now. So we don't really want to be putting evidence in saying, yes, the British government's position is that China is an enemy. But, the court said, it's not just even an enemy now, are they potentially a future enemy? Sort of like, in 1939 when Chamberlain was it Chamberlain? Yeah, waving his little bit of peace in our time paper. Could you have described Germany as a potential enemy then? And I think most people would have said, well, yeah, clearly. And they said the same here. So they said, all you need to do is to produce some evidence either from the government or from expert witnesses, saying this is why we say China is either an enemy now or is to be in the future. But apparently the government have, you know, and like I say, the trouble is we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But apparently the CPS, for whatever reason, decided that they were not going to be putting in any evidence about China. And that's why they've dropped the case. So that's an interesting one there, isn't it? Well, I think it is. So there you go. I'll be very interested in your comments about this one, because I know you're all into sort of official secrets and freedom of speech and stuff like that. And I've got another video that I'll probably just record straight after this one, actually, because I'm sorry I've been for the dearth of videos, but I've just been so busy lately with actual real work. It's just been a bit of a pain. But anyway, as always, hope you found that vaguely interesting, vaguely useful, and vaguely accurate. And like I say, I'll be very interested in your comments. Where am I today? Well, I'm up an old bridle way. Now you might hear, hopefully not, because I'm trying to get the sound right on this, but the A39 is behind me, the big dual carriageway, which is now the main road from the A30 into this side of Truro. But in the olden days, and I'll just spin this round, because I love walking down here, this is a little bridle track. But in olden days, this was actually the road. Now, can I actually get this right? Hang on, I'll just actually disconnect the camera so I can show you. But I love old mile markers, and I like this one because it's slowly getting buried. But yeah, so as you can sort of possibly see, like I say, this is the original main road into Truro. There's another one that I really like that's even narrower, and it just cuts through loads of houses, but that was the main road into Truro, and all the locals actually still use that route rather than the actual dual carriageway, because even though it's a 20 mile an hour with lots of speed bumps, it actually does save you a bit of queuing. And more importantly, to any Cornish people watching, it avoids those annoying speed cameras by the junction on Tregal's Road, where Cornwall Council are always like bragging about how they catch 7,000 people a week or a month or whatever going down there. But yeah, there you go. See you next time.